Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Manchester United Agenda, sponsored by Runsil. Does exactly what it says on the tin. The award-winning Manchester United Agenda. Don't forget, we picked up 2 awards at the Ballon d'Or. And I am joined tonight by... I'll do that joke. By Mr. B and Yabba. So first of all, Mr. B, how are you?
I'm good. I've had my Dominoes. Arrived at a good time to give me time to finish and eat before I came on the show. So I'm ready to roll. I won't be moaning about eating.
You've been fed and watered?
Yeah, fed and watered
Wow.
before the show. Lovely, just like a bloody horse.
Yeah, but we're all wondering, how did you go to the doctors?
The doctors?
About your finger.
Oh no, it's not. It's the hospital. It's the hospital I have to go to. No, I haven't. I'll probably wait until payday after pay and go.
Yeah, but you feeling all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Just enjoyed the football tonight. I thought the football was pretty good to watch. It's really tough, isn't it? We got 2 games to watch, and I don't know. We were discussing backstage. I don't know if anyone else in the comments how they watched the games, but the 2 big games, obviously Liverpool away at Villa, and Marcus Rashford and Villa, good at home, a tough game at the top. Liverpool needed points there, and then obviously Man City against Real Madrid as well, top level game. So really enjoyed football feast tonight. Mr. B might be full up with his Domino's pizza, but I'm full with beautiful football, great games of football. So yeah, how are you guys?
How are you, bath time?
I'm all right. It's a struggle, to be honest, without Sarah here. Like, I need constant supervision, to be perfectly honest, or I get into trouble. What have I done today? Oh, I've been writing a film with Tyrone Williams, one of the people in chat. So at some stage,
you've been writing a film.
Yes.
Okay.
Tyrone, yeah, like Tyrone's an actor and he makes short films, and so. I reckon I can make better short films than these with you. Let's write something.
Oh, wow!
And so I started doing it today.
Wow! How do you start with a movie? What do you have to? How do you start? Do you have to brainstorm, put a picture board up of what you want to happen? They usually do it with like comic strips, things, don't they? To create a short.
Maybe,
film.
but they've got like unlimited budget and things, so you have to think of like a setting where you can film something, and you have to have it cheap and stuff. Like, you can't do like the Battle of Trafalgar Square with Tyrone Williams and have a fleet rolling up and stuff like that. So you've got to think of something to do, and I've thought of something, and we'll see if Tyrone likes it. And then if it ever gets made, we'll stick it on the United Agenda, I guess, and
we'll get credits. Only. Yeah, that's all right. We'll take that.
Extras?
I don't know. Like, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
What's it about, bath time?
I don't want to say what it's about.
Okay, fair enough.
Until it's done. Like, look, when it's done, you can all judge it.
But you never know. We could give you some great ideas.
Not you. You know.
Yeah, what movie have you been in? What Hollywood movie have you been in, Mr. B?
You were cut out of Mean Machine, Yabba. But anyone who doesn't know, Yabba is convinced that the Vinnie Jones vehicle Mean Machine, he was cut out of it because he made Vinnie Jones look too weak.
Anyway, that's a great project you guys got going on. I'd love to sort of, not be involved, but just hear what's going on. Just get the idea.
I'll tell you afterwards. Like, if you want.
I look forward to that. Yeah, it's great stuff.
We're mainly concerned with football and Scientology, so we've got to do one of them. So let's do the comments first. Stephanie Griffiths, good evening to you. Patrick Pillow, the only gang I trust to get me through this dumpster fire of a season. Glad to be aboard the TMUA.
Oh, big up, man. Bless you, Patrick.
And shout out to Andrew for welcoming a new person to chat. That's a character development.
No, he does. To be fair, he does. He just waits for them to talk and then slaughters them afterwards, doesn't he?
Like a panther. He just waits. And we've got Subvids in. Good evening to you.
Welcome.
I am titanium. Pep scratching his face. Yeah. I've got Farm. Hello to you, Farm. Bilal's enjoyed his day, which is good. Vincent, come on, don't you love it when one of your enemies gets knocked out of the Champions League and they call their troubles better than ours?
Look, let's get it into perspective. Look at the day that they played on. You know, Europa League's not played on a Tuesday or Wednesday. They've got a tune that the whole world knows. What's Europa League? There you go. See, there's a difference. So yeah, as much as I'm happy at their demise, our demise is a lot worse than theirs. So, you know, it's relevant. Yeah, we're laughing. He, they're out, but we were never in it.
Yeah, like I know what you mean, but you got to find the small victories, I suppose. Here's We Deserve Better. Good evening to you. I hope you're doing well. We've got 9 likes and 18 people watching, which is pretty good. Just lots of silly things there about adult films. It's not.
You started that conversation.
Yeah. It's not a film about Love Island, about this guy called Bartine tries to get on the show, buy an application to get on Love Island. Beautifully put, Vincent. We've got Stuart in the house. Good evening to you, Stuart.
Yeah.
City are shite. And we got Samuel Mark Ingram.
Ooh, another new.
Ineos should sell OSG Nice to former Newcastle United owner Amanda Stavely. It's a bit of a random one.
I was going to say, where did that come from, Samuel? What have you heard? Come on, Samuel. You're not just going to throw it out there and not tell us. What have you heard?
And this is the level we're at this evening. Anyone seen Severance?
We was talking about this the other day. I'm sure We Deserve Better was talking about, or was it Deliverance? No, Severance. I'm sure he was talking about Severance the other day. Oh, no.
I was going to try and use that as a sort of a joke into this comment.
Sorry.
About Severance, where Jim Ratcliffe will sack Ruben Amron. It's only a matter of time, but you spoiled it.
I could see where it was going. Yeah, that was a good idea.
All right, so let's start off with the Champions League tonight. So I guess we should work out what games everyone watched. Starting with you, Mr. B.
I slept for the first part, to be fair. I missed the half of all of the games. I saw Mbappe's last goal. He's so good, man. He's just so good, man. And obviously I had a slight interest in the Villa game, more for Fantasy League than anything else. That's not a race I'm in, so I don't care about that part of it, to be fair.
So what did you think?
Of Mbappe? Or of the Real Madrid?
Yeah,
Real Madrid, they just... I'm jealous. I'm jealous. You know, by name we're as big as Real Madrid, but look at the mess on the pitch, man. It's just different levels, man. It's just, you buy what you get. You know, I mean, say you buy. Mbappe cost them nothing, but he cost them nothing because they're Real Madrid, and he took all of the abuse that he got in Paris for nights like this. So it's jealous. I'm jealous. It's more. I more look back on Champions League and think, if only, more than being.
It's like looking back on your youth, isn't it? When you see young people heading out to the club or something.
And you're stuck. Yeah. It's it's hard, man. It pisses me off, man. It pisses me off.
What really annoyed me about that Mbappe goal is it brought to mind what original Ronaldo did to Rio Ferdinand. To me, like the step over and then curling it. I think that Ronaldo's goal was a lot better, but it was just like City aren't great, but the quality you see in the Champions League, we're so far off it, man. It's like it's devastating. But like, who stood out for you? Sorry, because you did what I did and watched bits of both games. I think, yeah.
I didn't watch. I watched the first half of City because they kicked off later. So I watched the first half of City Real Madrid, and then once they went for half time, I checked that Liverpool game, and then I just continued to watch the Liverpool game because they got back to 2-2 at this point. and I watched it to the end because I thought there might be a late goal, and because it was needed. It was a really important game for Liverpool. They could have gone 10 points clear, despite Arsenal having a game in hand. So it was good game of football, good Premiership game, high level. Obviously, we're watching Marcus Rashford as well doing his thing. I think Villa, they had 3. Morgan Rogers is brilliant. I think I like him a lot. It's the way he can just dribble and drive into space. And it's like, how's he do it? It makes it look so easy because he's big and strong. He's really powerful. And then they got
his technique there though as well.
Yeah,
it's not
technique
just
good,
pace and power.
It's just that he's lacking that killer finishing instinct. He's like he lacks a finish.
Yeah, it's the final ball.
Pass, but everything leading up to that is really, really effective.
I agree.
I was thinking it won't be long before he's in the England squad. And then they got Asensio, who's they started, and Rashford obviously as well. They're looking good. They've got so many good peak players, and they're young players. Who's that? Jacob Ramsey. He's a beast. So they've got a good squad and they're ready to go. So big up to Villa. They've done really well. And then as for Real Madrid, I was looking at the stadium, how many tears there were. They had a picture from outside. I thought, oh my God, this is beautiful. And then they had the tears looking up. And I know Old Trafford is the biggest stadium in Premier League or in biggest stadium in club stadium in Britain. But seeing that Real Madrid stadium, man, it's magnificent. It really is. And the players are all great players. Poor Endrick can't get a game. I was looking at Rodrigo because we've always been kind of linked with Rodrigo. Like he starts every game, and I'm thinking he's not even the best player on their pitch, and we're looking to him to say, "Oh, that would be a great signing for us." That just shows you where we're at, because Mbappe now. I thought when Mbappe turned up, he likes to play off the left, and then Vinny was the main man from the left. They found a way to make it work. I know Bellingham makes these great runs off the ball, beyond the forwards as well. Everything's clicking for them really well, as they proved by beating City. So really, you have to give them credit. They've beaten City 6-3 or whatever it is over 2 legs. That is mad. That sends a statement around Europe to say
it's not prime City though, is it?
But to beat it's the way they beat them half time. They beat them at their ground and dominated the game. I felt. And then coming here, they were just toying with it, I felt. So I know you can say City aren't prime City, but it's still a good outfit. You don't become SHIT overnight like Man United. Well, we've never, not really. But I'm just really impressed. I just think Real Madrid, the stadium, the club, they're the biggest club in world football. We are miles off that, as you guys were saying earlier, comparing it. I was seeing the players they had coming off the bench. Valverde, no concern about him playing right back when he's got so much energy. Canavinga, he's a really talented player. The left back Mendy goes sort of unnoticed, but he's really good. And the keeper, I think, has got to be the best keeper in world football right now. Courtois, he's just an amazing keeper. So respect to Real Madrid. That's the benchmark. If we're gonna try and win a 4th Champions League, we have to sort of look at that model and say, wow, that's what we have to compete with, and it's scary.
They got a lot of advantages though.
Yeah.
Like with their league, the help they get from the Spanish government. But it's worth pointing out that they developed Vinny Jr. They bought him when he was like 17 or 18, and he was not popular at Real Madrid for the first 2 seasons. They saved up for Kylian Mbappe over 3 or 4 years. They've been pretty good at how they've invested, like got the stadium and things like that, and hopefully we can sort of we can copy that and get back to where we should be. Right, the comments are on one tonight. I can't be bothered.
I totally listen. This is the beauty of once we start talking about the topic, they will jump in. Until then, they're keeping themselves amused with Gavy Lava and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Potswam, Mbappe. Jesus Christ.
I mean, imagine like turning up, like you're looking for a new channel to sort of chat about football with, and you're getting like Blight Waller saying like Gady Lager. It's like,
but
don't start yet, but I know what's going through your head.
Thank you.
I see. I've just realised what they're doing. They're changing the first name initial.
God, have you just worked it out?
I didn't notice before. I just noticed that.
Yeah. Well, like, in between all of this, I'll try and find some comments. And this was you wouldn't have seen this, Mr. B, but Nunez, man, he made not an open goal, but absolutely dreadful miss from him in the Villa game.
Okay, I'm going to ask you something. Would you rather have Nunez or
Rasmus? Yes, okay. Nunez.
Okay.
Absolutely. You see, Nunez can win a header, he can hold the ball up. He's just not putting all his stuff together. You can see that there's a good player there. Rasmus, man, I don't know what he is. I reckon he'd lose a fight with children on a bouncy castle. He plays football like, you know, when you go bowling and for the kids, they have to put those bouncy things up like on the bowling lane. Like that's what Rasmus needs the equivalent of that in football. Yali, he's bought a stew today. I hope everyone is doing fantastic. And let's talk about how big a mistake Dan Ashworth was. Oh, yes. My mate, Dan. I am delighted to see him getting a lot of abuse. Bellingham does like to yappa and gets a lot of cards. Yeah, there's a big thing going on in Spain about the difference between fuck you and fuck off in English. Because
he only got a 2-game ban, so maybe they took it as he said off and not you.
Yeah, well, he said fuck. I can't remember what he said, but I had
either way, he's only got a 2-game anyway.
Yeah, but it's quite funny that they've had like experts on Spanish TV explaining all the different ways you can use those words. Got Grace Sheridan in. Hey, haven't really got much to say, but everyone has had a good day. It's very nice.
You know why, though, don't you?
What? Because Delo hasn't played, or
the last time Grace come into the chat where Delo got murdered. I thought it was a wind-up point. It just kept on going down the whole stream.
Yeah, there's a bit of an agenda towards Delo, I see, from a couple of channels and things. I don't think he's anywhere near the problem for us, myself.
No. Everybody, look, people have who they dislike.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
Right. Speaking of people we dislike, do you want to start with Dan Ashworth and the financials, or do you want to talk about what Varane said?
Do Dan Ashworth and the financials, because we'll just get the really shitty part out the way, and then we'll get the not so shitty part. All right.
End. Well, on his CV of spectacular errors that Dan has made, we've got a new one to add to it, which is that he has cost the club over 10 million in the space of a year. It's cost 4.1 million to get rid of him, and it cost us 5 million to bring him in.
No. It's only the 4.1 is the complete.
No, that's his contract being paid out.
No, it's getting him out of Newcastle, and it's both. It's
still too much.
No, well, it's still too much, but we want to try and be as factually correct as we can in it. So it's
not with him. He doesn't deserve it.
Oh, let it go.
I will not let it go. You can do as many frozen lyrics as you like. I will never let my gender against Dan Ashworth go. Lying little goblin he is. Yabba. What? So basically, with the financials that have come out, we've taken a massive hit mainly in terms of TV revenue because of Europa League over Champions League. However, it looks like a lot of the spending, the things that we can control as a club, are actually looking a bit healthier. Like, what are you feeling about all of this?
Well, we knew about the Dan Ashworth thing. We knew that. I mean, we had to pay money to get him out of Newcastle, and then we didn't get him directly. We know he's gone. For whatever's gone on there, I still don't know the true story. There's always only one truth, isn't there? So I'd like to know more about that. What
you wouldn't believe it anyway, Yabba.
Well, I can guess it's probably a breakdown of relationship or something between.
You don't believe the truth.
There is only one truth, and we can speculate till we get there. But I just think it's a breakdown of relationships. He's clearly come in, and things haven't worked out for him with the team, and he didn't fit in, so he's kicked to the curb and discarded like he's Super Ted. And now he's
Nice.
look, now he's out there. I don't know what he's doing now, but it has cost us a lot of money. So now when we're talking about our financial state and the state of the club at the moment, we look at something like that to get to sort of rage at, don't we? We're looking for things to get upset about. Oh, look at that, we've wasted the money there. Oh, look, the tea lady's gone. Oh, we've wasted. We're saving money there. We're still not doing any good. Look, the roof is still leaking. This is the attitude. We're looking for things to blame and to point fingers, and that is a bit of poor business. They need to take some accountability for that, because it's a waste of money. But my thing is, at least they're trying to do the right thing. They felt it was the right thing to do, and they were brave enough to say, all right, we're not going to save face and keep someone when you're not suitable once they got the job. So we all make mistakes. I mean, I've got jobs where I'm clearly not qualified to get, and they soon realised. I remember the first job I got was
it driving that ship that crashed into the Suez Canal, the Evergreen.
I worked once. One of the first jobs I got, I was about 17 years old, and I worked in a care home, and it was with like people with long-term learning disabilities, everything. So I felt I was qualified. I didn't have any experience, just coming straight from school, and I winged it, and they accepted me. And then I started working in this home, and doing all these things, and the proprietors didn't like me. So I didn't fit in like Dan Ashworth with the team, but the residents liked me. They were they couldn't. A lot of them couldn't speak. There was one guy I used to work with.
When you start your stories, man, and I haven't even heard the rest of it yet. Sorry, man.
There was long term, because back in the these were elderly people, but they were classed as having learning disabilities. But some of them, it's like in the 50s and 60s, if you had any issue with you, they put you in an institution. So there's one woman, and all she had is epilepsy, but because she had that as a young child at her age, she was put in an institution, and she'd been around people like that. She just became incapable of any sort of life skills.
This doesn't end with you breaking them all out, does it?
No, not quite. That's a movie script, though. I can see what you're doing there. I'll star in it if you don't mind. Tyrant
of course.
Orderly. But so basically that's the thing. So I felt that I was suitable. I thought I was doing a good job, and then after 6 months, I had to meet with a manager, and he said, "Sorry, we're gonna have to let you go." And I said, "Wait a minute, where's this come from? I thought we were doing all right here." He said, "No, the big bosses don't like your face." Basically, he told me that, and I think it's the same with Dan Ashworth. You come into something, you think you're qualified, and then if the big bosses don't like your face, you can do it now. So I had to say goodbye to all these people I built a relationship with.
That wouldn't remember.
So, yeah. It happens to us.
I don't think that tracks over to what I read about the reason to getting over Dan is that a lot of time and effort went to procuring his services. He showed a lack of leadership. Like, if you remember, there was all that stuff about how he wanted to get an outside company to vet potential managers, and Ratcliffe was like, "This is what you're for." Like, it's Omar Barada who hired Ruben Amrin. And then on top of that, Ashworth wanted to give Ten Hag more time in a kind of sunk fallacy cost situation. So I think that they were just deeply, deeply underwhelmed by what a mediocre man he is. That would be my reading of it.
So my thing with that, with you two, why would they hire him in the first place? Shouldn't they check out his credentials? Don't they know? Didn't they do an interview? Will they be on the same page, or did he say things that made them think he would be on the same page?
Yeah, I think he lied. I think he probably lied.
He didn't lie. He's got it's probably from like England and so on. Like, does he not have, like, Brailsford had that connection to England and things, and would have like known all these people. Like, I think Dan was he at West Brom and then Brighton and then Newcastle. He was well thought of in the game. And there gets a point where I think people can turn down interviews, like what they've done in the game speaks for themselves. But rather like players leaving Brighton, it appears staff don't do particularly well outside of that environment.
Good point.
Let's do some comments. We've got Rich saying hello to everyone. We've got Andrew saying 1.2 billion debt. I actually haven't looked at the figures properly yet, Andrew.
I can give you a rough one if you want.
Well, I'll look at the finance sheet tomorrow and see what it says.
You should.
All right, tell me.
I'll still give you a rough one. Oh, thank you. I have to find it first.
I love being given a rough one.
Oh, fuck me.
Leave Sarah alone.
Oh, I was gonna say, Sarah, it's a long way. So we've got 14.5 spent on compensating Ashworth.
14.
No, that's for Ten Hag.
Ten Hag and his staff. 37.6 million on interest payments. For 3 months.
Is that total interest? So that'll include the revolving credit facility and the debt that needs to be managed.
Okay, don't take the fucking piss bath time.
I'm not taking the fucking piss.
I wrote down 3 things here just to kind of get you going. You're talking about what did you say? What was the
revolving credit facility? Like, so we have that's where we get the money for our transfers from.
Okay, I tell you what. I'm not going to say anything else. We'll wait for you to do your financial deep dive and going, because I have no idea what the hell you said. We've spent for all we have
a credit card we use for transfers. Basically, we have to pay interest on that. We have a massive debt that's leveraged on the club, which we have to pay interest on. Is the 37 million?
I don't know. Bath time. Don't ask me. Bath time. I wrote down what I wrote down, and I told you what I had, and then you've gone into something completely. How the fuck do I know that?
Well, I don't know.
Hell. All I was gonna say is, and with the net interest, we've now spent over $1 billion. But you're talking about all of this revolving stuff. I don't know, Bath time. I just know this because this is what I saw. I'm not gonna deep dive into it because I don't care. We're broke. It doesn't matter whether it's 5 million we're paying. I don't know how much profit we made. What our income? I don't know. Our
profit was massively down. Massively down.
That's not a surprise. We haven't been in the Champions League, have we?
No. But Rich saying wage bill down 40-50% in the summer. The thing is, wages are calculated as expenses. So, until that money is spent, it's imaginary money.
Stephanie, that's brilliant.
Yeah. I did see there was a shift of 85 million or so from 2023 to 2024 in a positive way. Yeah, I mean, I glanced at them when they came out today, but I've had a long day and I haven't been able to look at them. But it looked to me that the money coming into the club was substantially less, but the money that we're bleeding out of the club appears to be a bit more under control. Kieran is saying the way the club is run is pathetic. Breakdown in relationship. He was only here 5 months. I know how humiliating it must be for him, Kieran. Isn't it wonderful? Patrick Pillow. If he wasn't the fit, it's good we let him go. However, it's just the 878th thing that's gone wrong. I agree. It's absolutely disgusting the way they treat the staff at United. Yeah. Tyrone's in the house. Put in an institution just because she had epilepsy.
Yeah.
50s,
mate.
Do you think you're being correct, or is this your hatred talking? Oh, it's my hatred. Make no mistake, it's my absolute disgust towards Dan Ashworth that is coming at me.
You have to understand, it's personal with Bath time, so yeah, he gives a little bit. He goes in a little bit more than most other people would, but yeah,
it's also a bit personal between me and Jim Ratcliffe. You say what you want about the Glazers, but they never subjected me to heavy metal, like heavy metals, the way Jim Ratcliffe did, living in the northeast of England. Yali Marlin. In the summer, it was said that Jim was furious with Brailsford and Ashworth over keeping Eric Ten Hag. He might have popped a vein. Did this cost Ashworth his job? and forcing Brailsworth to take a backseat. I think that's a good point because we don't see Brailsworth really anymore, did we? And he conducted a
Brailsford.
100. It says Worth here.
Brails, who
Mr.
the
B,
hell
this is what I've got written down.
Brailsworth?
Bike boy. The bike.
He's not Brailsworth though, is it? His name's
Take it out with
Brailsford.
Yarley.
It's Brailsford. But you should have corrected him. Anyway, look.
I don't know.
Anyway,
shout out to Neil Driscoll. He is back.
Hello, Neil. Hope you're well, Neil.
What else have we got here? We deserve better, man. He's so good at this. Revenues have dropped to 200 million for the final 3 months, 2024, down from 200. So we've lost 25 million in revenue for the same period. That's 100 million over the year if it's 25 for each quarter. So that's probably TV money. Right.
Champions League money.
Yeah, but it might also be like we're not like prime games anymore, are we? Like there's quite a lot of 2:30s on Sundays.
We are when we play Man City.
Yeah.
Is Everton game? It's a 12:30 game. I think they're trying. I think they know Man United get views. Man United equals views. Regardless if not being in contention, I think it's very rare that we can't get to watch a game. Usually on a 3 o'clock on a Saturday or something like that.
And the other thing is, right, is that when you go back to this figure and say we've missed out on 100 million from Champions League, I think it's more than that because the Champions League has changed this year, where the clubs will be making even more money. So, like, what we've potentially lost out on will be horrific. 14.5 million on Ten Hag and his coaching staff. Still not the biggest payout we gave. The payout we gave to Ralph Ragnick was madness.
Oh, that's another one of your hated Scrooges. It'd be Dan Ashworth, Jim Ratcliffe, and Ralph Ragnick.
Yeah, I don't like Ralph Ragnick, but we paid him. We gave him a monstrous settlement to leave the club.
Yeah.
Got Jarvis saying PSV just eliminated Juventus.
The final took out AC Milan. I mean, well done to the Dutch.
Did
club.
they? PSV knocked out Juve.
Honestly, that is, I can't believe. I know exactly what Mr. B is doing. Like his son likes Juve, and look at him.
Look at him. Oh, good.
Look at that.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Poor boy. Look at him. Look at him teasing.
This is why you've got to support the same team as your father.
Yeah, exactly. That's proof if you ever wanted to.
Yeah. Father of the year there.
If you could have told me to fuck off, you would have told me to fuck off.
All right. How are we going to improve next season if we're broke? It's worrying times. Laugh, but relegation ain't impossible in the future. I mean, to be honest, at the start of next season, target number 1 has got to be to avoid relegation. It's expected by United that the restructuring decisions will lead to savings between 30 million and 40 million.
For the year. Is this for the year?
I think so. I would think so. They're still doing this, changing things around, right? It's Brailsford, not Brailsworth or Brand Flakes.
Jesus, Stephanie.
Yanni said, I'm Norwegian, and I found Brailsworth to be a more funny name than Brailsford. That is my excuse.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And good. Shout out to you, Neil. I hope that you're doing well. All right, Yali, Varane. Okay, we can talk about Varane. I just want to see what will be here. 150. God, yeah. Oh, of course. You know that 30 or 40 million that we've saved? That's probably going to be straight out of agreements with, shirt sponsors and things. That's probably lost money already because we're not going to be in Europe next season, or at least it's unlikely we are.
Can you imagine what that figure's going to be if we don't qualify for Europe next year?
I mean, the players get a big chunk off their wages, don't they,
But
when
they're
they
not
don't
going to.
play in Europe?
No, just that. But surely that was just Champions League, because they always talk about it being the Champions League reduction. They don't say anything about it being the Europa League reduction or out of Europe reduction. So it's going to be worse. It would be worse.
It's not just that. The games you play in Europe, you obviously have home games as well. So you have to think about the revenue when you got all the extra games at home.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
they can't charge. You can't charge. Champions League prices for Euro. I mean, he'll probably try to be fair, but you can't charge. Europa League, and then there's Conference Peer Cup. How much the tickets for that? £5?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I mean, this is what I was saying earlier about fans complaining. With all this information coming out about the club, and you have to tough decisions have to be made. They're complaining about the ticket prices, and there's been uproar about that. But you can understand why they're doing that. They have to sort of try and balance the books somehow.
Yeah,
And,
but just surely.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it right. Yeah, but
I'm not saying it makes it right. At least you can understand.
It's being leveraged on us.
I don't think it's through greed.
Right. Okay.
It's more to do with we need to do this because we're projecting, looking for the future.
Yeah, no, yeah, but of course it is. Like Ratcliffe and the rest of them will not want to be putting ticket prices up and stuff.
No, it's bad for them. It's bad for their reputation. Yeah,
they won't want to be doing that.
Needs must.
But the thing is, it's just how much does this increase of 66 quid and go? And my real concern with what's happening is fans getting squeezed out over season tickets and trying to get day trippers and things in. I understand the majority of our audience are not match-going fans and so on, but spare the port for the Vincents and the Stuart Marshalls out there. And my family had its season ticket. We were squeezed out of season tickets in the early 90s, and the club will be willing to do it. But right, let's get on and talk about Rafa Varane. Yabba, have you read the interview or do you know anything about it?
No, I know nothing. Like Manuel from 40 Towers. I know nothing.
Well, I thought that was an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. That's Spanish, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. From an English actor playing a Spanish man, Manuel, yeah. I know nothing.
Okay. Mr. B, do you know anything?
I know a little bit. But I know you've done your homework, so I'm gonna. I don't. Oh, you haven't?
Oh, no, it's been a busy day.
See, so maybe what I should have done then is got the facts on this story and not the other one.
Well, any of the facts would have been useful. All right. So this is what I think has happened. Is Varane has given an interview.
Go on.
Right. And he's pretty much gone in on Ten Hag in the last season that Ten Hag was there. Like Varane is now a retired footballer. And he's talked about a couple of things that went wrong. The three big takeaways from the interview were that they had a full and frank exchange of views that led to Varane on the bench for 3 months.
And he said he didn't understand why.
Varane said that.
Yeah.
I remember him being benched. Yeah. Oh, wow. So it's all coming out now. And
then he talked about the training that was sort of being done and the difference between that and Real Madrid. And he also mentioned that he was stunned that they gave Ten Hag a contract extension. And was there anything else that he said there?
Why was he stunned?
He said because the connection between the staff and the players was completely destroyed.
Why would they have kept him on as a club? And you knew that. So they got rid of Varane, obviously to appease Ten Hag, but obviously we knew there was bunglings going on at the club. But did he? I know he seemed to be inflexible, but was he really? He sounds a bit like a school teacher, but this is just from Varane. Was he? I would like to hear from somebody else whether he tried to rule by. You see that Ancelotti runs his club. What's it? like he loves the players and he expresses his. Ten Hag, was he more of a sergeant major ruler then?
Well, I think the difference is, and I'm going to pronounce this correctly, is I don't think that Ancelotti uses the same game model style training that Ten Hag does. Right. So with the game model and tactical periodization, the idea is that you're given rules and fundamentals that you always have to do, and the better you understand these, the more you're able to deal with any situation on the pitch. But you always have to follow them. And with Ancelotti, what he's quite well known for is talking to players about who's going to start, where they're going to be, and allow the players the autonomy to go on the pitch and solve problems together. And that is what Varane, Casemiro, probably Ronaldo came from. And a big part of this was Varane. Personally, I think it's quite right that when you have very, very experienced players, you can't treat them like children and expect them to play like adults. But this is, you are a big fan of disciplinarian headmasters for managers.
No, I think for situations, I think the reason I'm a fan of that for Manchester United is because I believe that there's a bad culture at the club and the players have been ruled in the roost for a long time. So we have to sort of stir it up and destroy that culture. And to do that, you need to have discipline. You need to come in and change that up and pull people up and raise the bar with standards. And those who fall short will be exposed. I think that's the most important thing.
Right, but the difference here, Yabba. Sorry, can I interrupt you on this?
Okay, go. But I don't want to lose the trail of thought. Yeah,
no one is talking, right, that discipline isn't the issue. The thing is would you prefer that discipline to come from the squad themselves or it to be sort of prescribed to them? And that's where I think the difference is. That's
my point. That's I don't think it can come from the squad because the players at Man United, you look at, we like I was saying earlier, you compare Real Madrid to Man United, a lot of Man United fans say, we're the biggest club in the world and all this kind of thing. We're just about the biggest club in England. Real Madrid are vast and beyond what we are. The stadium, the players, the culture, everything's more different. And if you're talking about the players, they've let us down. They might be big.
I know, Mr. B.
It might be big wigs for a long time now, but at Man United, they're not being successful. So we have to change that and start from basics again and get a culture in the club by getting rid of all these big wig players, get a culture in the club which is based on discipline and based on standards and build from that. And I think that's what they decided to do, to turn this club around, because otherwise we'll be going round and round and round, never winning anything, just getting in a couple of good big players now and then and just taking second best. We can't do that. So I'm pleased about the restructuring and the clear out of all this bad mind players and starting again, even if it means us playing, look at us in 13th or 14th in the league and really struggling. I think that for the long term and good of the club, we have to change it all and start again. And the players coming through now will be groomed up on this discipline. Sorry?
Groomed.
Is that the right word? All right. They will be nurtured or on the discipline that the new environment will have at the club. So that's why I think it's important.
All right. Before we get back to this, Mr. B is giggling like a child at a joke that We Deserve Better has made. Disciplinarian headmasters sounds like a club I went to.
Oh, good.
I try so hard. I swear to God, I try so hard. I do. I'm sorry, man. I know it's immature, and I get it. Listen, man, you lot have known me long enough to know it. It's just what it is. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Oh dear.
So Grant explained that Madrid. Yeah. What I find really interesting about what you said, Diabba, is that in the past, I've always had the my kind of interpretation of a lot of what you've said is that the players that we currently have in and this would be back to sort of Sancho's and people. They lack professionalism, maturity, pride, and that. So people like Ten Hag have to kind of put that on them. Like, it's not going to come from within them, so it's got to come from without. And now it sounds like what you're saying is that the way to deal with this is actually recruitment, where when we get players in, we're looking for. I'll just give you an example. Delo, who has been called out for his professionalism by Ronaldo, always available, trains, got a good attitude. A lot of people don't like him as a player, but he's got all the stuff there that you would want as a squad member. Is that kind of like your sort of your current line of thinking?
In a way, yeah. So I heard an interview from Teddy Sheringham the other day. He said when he turned up at Man United, he soon realised that that people were in the weight room before training and the weight room after training. And Robin van Persie said this. So he's come from Arsenal not so long ago and came to Man United and realised, oh my God, the culture here is different because this is what makes you a winning mentality. This is what makes you a big club compared to Arsenal at that time. Is that before training they were in the weight room, in the gym. Sorry.
Tottenham, not Arsenal.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say that Sheringham joined from Arsenal?
No, I beg your pardon. I was talking about Van Persie. It wasn't Sheringham.
Okay. Sorry.
So Van Persie said in an interview recently that he was at Arsenal, obviously, and they weren't winning anything. And he came to Man United and he won in his first season. But when he came, he realised that before training, the players would go in the gym, and after training, they stayed in the gym. Whereas at Arsenal, he said, after training, they were getting in their big souped-up cars and going off into central London, Mayfair, shopping and that sort of thing. So he realised that culture changed. He had to adapt and change to that. And he also said, because of his injury record prior to that, he coming to Man United, the manager, just as you said about Real Madrid just now, Ferguson, actually dealt with him differently. And he wouldn't join him with training. He'd do his own thing to keep him fit, strictly to keep him fit. Similar to what Varane had at Real Madrid. Remember, he had bad injuries, then they had a program at Real Madrid to ensure that he kept sustainably fit for a period of time. So that's a success. Coming to a successful club, there's principles there, there's things in place that every player has to adapt to, otherwise you're going to get found out. This is why Anderson turned up and he couldn't quite keep up with the standards, even though we were very successful. So if the culture's there, players come in and you get found out if you're not up to date, up to scratch with that. But what's happened since Fergie's left, we've been all over the place, different managers, there's been no consistency, and that's when players start to run the roost. And this is why I feel that anyone coming in can just do what they want. Look at we discussed great discussion yesterday about Sanchez coming into the club and doing all that. He wouldn't have done that if he was successful. He didn't do that at Real Madrid, for example. He didn't do that at Inter Milan. He towed the line because these clubs are really organised.
All right,
so my thing is about the discipline is we need to get back to something, and if it's not working, then scrap everything and start from the beginning and have anyone coming into the club, from youth players or anything, understanding the standards that we set. And we can only build from there. It's like building your house on stone rather than the sand.
All right, I'm just gonna get back to this point. Thank you, Jarvis. I put those comments up, and we'll kind of go through them. It's always great when the chat does my research for me. But do you like the sort of technical definition, right, of culture is acquired learning? So it's not like it's something that you have to be taught. And the problem that I think that we have at Manchester United is you've hit on it, is it's the erosion of standards. So another very famous example is that Keane used to batter the ball at Ruud and say Yorkie used to control those. And the thing is, right, is that should be passed down from generation to generation. So as a new player comes in and one leaves, the values remain the same. And it holds for 10, 15, 20 years. The issue that we have now is that it's probably between the Moyes and Van Gaal era, or maybe the Van Gaal and the Mourinho era, all those values got lost. Like Van Gaal, you think of all the players he cleared out, like O'Shea, Giggsy, who else went? The Raphael brothers.
Welbeck.
Exactly. We lost so much of like that acquired learning and the standards in training, because for me, I don't believe that that is what the manager should be doing. I think that is the role of the captain and the senior players to run the dressing room,
I agree with
run
that.
the standards.
I agree with that. You get your captain who's got your mindset, and then it saves you doing all of that. He passes down. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, and so I think that you're cheating if you get a manager, say, like a lot of people wanted Conte in because he would beat the players up or something, or people want Keane to come in to assault our players. I think you're kind of cheating if you expect that the manager is going to do it. I think that you've got to get players in. Like, I mean, Johnny Evans, I wouldn't even say Johnny Evans is a particularly good professional. He stole a taxi on a pre-season like 5 years ago, which is relatively recent. But we want people in that sort of that kind of carry that mentality with them, and I think that it doesn't come from the coaches, it comes from the players, and that's
I disagree. I think
obviously
it has to be reinforced. You said the captain has to do it, but the captain has to be in line with the management. You know, the captain can't just do his own thing. The captain has
of course.
Yeah, but that's why he's a captain
on the pitch. So, as Mr. B with his Saturday team, Mr. B, you seems to me you got a really good relationship with your captain. You relay to him what you want from the manager on the pitch.
Yeah, that makes my job easier. I just sit back.
Yeah, let him do all the work.
Because this is the point that I was building to, which is in for anyone who's new, about 2 or 3 years ago, I had a massive tantrum about Ten Hag in the summer because I hated the way that he was dealing with players in our squad. And the treatment of Ronaldo would not have got on won't have just passed by people like Casemiro and Varane, who in some ways can sort of owe their career. This is an example of it, Yabba, where I think you go wrong, is making an example out of someone in the squad to try and like show you've got big bollocks. That's always a bit of a sign of weakness to me, which is why I think it's better for the players to do it rather than the manager, because he should manage the team, how you play, all those things, and the standards should come from the players. And obviously they should align.
Well, unfortunately, you picked the wrong two players for me to agree with you on that, because they showed their real nature with Ronaldo going on a TV show and just disrespecting the club and everything he's ever done, and disrespecting the manager to millions, and then Sancho getting a blind by going away and getting cared for, and then finding out that he, after all, he's just a bad professional and getting exposed as well. So I think those two are really bad examples for that. But I do think that like Ten Hag had to do something. He's come in. You have to remember where we were at when we brought Ten Hag in. Who was the previous manager? It was Ralph Ollie, wasn't it?
But the season before we finished second.
Yeah, but then we went to Watford.
Or third.
There was a spell in October. We had a run of games, and ended up with losing 4-1 at Watford.
Yeah, but we had a Champions League quality squad.
Yeah, but that's when we knew this wasn't acceptable, this wasn't good enough, and Ollie knew he's going to get the sack, and he did. So after that, we felt, look, something has to change. We keep changing managers. Ollie was supposed to be just a short-term measure. I don't think Ollie was ever the permanent manager. You look at his credentials prior to that. He was managing Cardiff and managing Molde in Norwegian League. That's not enough for me to say that.
Yeah, but he earned it, didn't he?
Like while he was there, I think he done okay in a sense, but I don't think he was qualified to be our manager in the first place. I think he was just on a mates rate sort of thing. Bring Ollie in, appease the fans and appease the players for a bit, and we had a good run initially when he arrived. But overall, you get found out because you can't appease these guys. The approach was different. It's a big contrast to what we had with Ten Hag. His approach was, look, just deal with the players, look after the players, pet them a little bit. And then it didn't work out. So then we demanded something. It was like, right, we need something new. We need just to refresh the whole thing. Let's get a manager in and say to him, look, you need to change the culture. You need to be disciplined with these guys and change everything and identify what the problem is. And he's gone in there for, I'm going to have to do what I do. and he's done exactly what he wanted to do. And I've good respect to him, because to challenge players like Sancho, to challenge players like Rashford, and big leaders in the changing room, and Ronaldo, it takes a lot of balls for Ten Hag to do that. So I think he doesn't get the recognition he deserves for what he had to deal with and what the real challenges he had. And still after that, he still won 2 cups, 1 cup in the a cup every last 2 seasons. So I think when you look at his run and look at his win rate and all that kind of thing, I think Ten Hag done a decent job under the circumstances, and we shouldn't be too dismissive of what him like he's some sort of joke. He not just that about the form, but then had to challenge, had to face up to the disgusting culture in the club and actually break that down. Where, and you're talking about calling out
Ronaldo, disgusting culture.
Sorry?
Ronaldo. Like, Ronaldo went and said pretty much everything.
Did Ronaldo walk down the tunnel because he's sulking about not coming on the pitch?
No, he walked down the tunnel because he refused to be subbed on with 1 minute to go against Spurs.
Yeah,
because
for 1 minute to go, because he refused, because he didn't come on earlier. He wanted. Do you see what I'm saying?
He was being used as a time-wasting substitution, and Ronaldo's done enough for the club and enough for the game. For like that was a humiliation to me. Yeah, I agree with you about the cups; they were fantastic. But Ten Hag spent £660 million, which is 30% of our total transfer outlay since Sir Alex Ferguson left the football club, and he's left us with a massive, massive mess, to be perfectly honest. So I don't agree with that, because he had a Champions League squad and he dismantled it and has turned it into, mid-table at best. So I think people are well within their rights to say that he was a disaster.
It needed to be done. If you're gonna, that's my point. He might have had a Champions League squad with certain players, but we're not privy of being behind closed doors and seeing the bad culture of some of these players.
Yeah.
And which was never going to be sustainable going forward. To change that, he had to address that and deal with it, which is why the big Ronaldo thing came out and he had to leave the club, and why Sancho had to leave, and Rashford stuff got brought to the surface. All the stuff that was going on over there, which led to him now playing for Aston Villa and leaving. This is the hometown boy. So I think some of this stuff is very good when in hindsight, for when we see what Ten Hag has actually done by airing this stuff and bringing it to our attention and say, look, these guys, they've left now. All 3 of them are not there anymore. And he had to deal with the Greenwood situation as well. And not saying he made a decision about that. Like I'm saying.
Yeah, he had Anthony as well. Anthony had a bad situation to deal with.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I mean, he also, I never really liked De Gea, but I'm not saying that this is completely on Ten Hag, but the handling of De Gea's contract, it was embarrassing, to be perfectly honest, from what we know. But I think like the Ronaldo one is something that I find really difficult to get over, because he basically like epitomizes everything that you would want in the club with his work ethic and his training and things like that. I feel that was an enormous miss, and it's something that he brought up in his interview with Piers Morgan. That's how we know that Diego Dalot is a good trainer, because he was specifically name checked. And it's it's interesting that Varane's still got an axe to grind against like Erik Ten Hag, I think, because it sounds like they had a proper fight.
Yeah, he told him it's what you do. But I'm going to ask: do you believe that it's right that a player argues with their manager?
Yeah,
you do.
Yes.
Not argue, but you need to. If you're not happy about something, you need to be able to approach the manager and have a conversation about it. So not saying.
I think you've got to be able to discuss like things.
It just doesn't sound like it was a discussion. That's all.
Yeah, it's like the thing is, right, is that like I always say this: if you treat adults like children, you can't expect them to go out and perform like adults. And with like people like Varane and Casemiro and stuff like that, they're not wet behind the ears. They know their bodies, like they know what they're good at and things like that. And their experience is something that I think you should draw on as a resource. Because I mean, who's going to go and tell Ronaldo how to score goals? Like like who's going to tell Messi how to do these things? You can't do it. So You've got to speak to them on the level of being an adult.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
So when Ronaldo was winning his European Championship and he wasn't playing, he was on the bench. What did he do? He actually undermined the manager there by coming on the bench and dictating things and pointing things like, and he was in a technical area or something like that. That was a bit disrespectful. The manager is there for a reason. There's a hierarchy in every football club. It's not about disciplining things, just the way it is. Even down to under 8s football, there's a manager, and you're taught from that age, this is how football structure is. You have the manager who picks the team and dictates the culture of the team and the discipline of the team as well. So I think even if you've got players like Casemiro, Ronaldo, and all these senior pros and Varane under Ten Hag, who hasn't managed maybe that caliber of player before, and that hasn't been at a club like Man United before, the size of Man United, he still understood the principles are, I'm the manager, and if I feel undermined by you, like Ronaldo, you can't say, you just mentioned, oh, you can't teach Ronaldo how to score goals, but Ronaldo can't teach a manager how to manage because you haven't done it before, but you want to try and do everything because you think you're Ronaldo and no one can tell you anything. This is the actual attitude I believe he has. He thinks I'm that good. Who are you, Ten Hag, playing in the area division, Division 3 or something, and you think you can tell me about football? That's so. Can you imagine having to deal with someone like that?
Casemiro and Casemiro and Varane, I think, would have been the same as well. Like coming from Real Madrid and meeting an Eredivisie manager, and I think that's why, to me, Ten Hag was a little bit weak, because I think he sought these conflicts to try and establish himself early on, like to sort of like put a marker down. That's speculation, but that's
I know. But I think it would be a bit of both, because you might say you're suggesting he's not strong enough or something. I think he's come in and to do a job and say, right, I need to take this. You only get one opportunity at a big club like that, I believe.
Yeah,
I can't imagine him getting a big job again based on that. Maybe in the future, who knows? But I think he has to come there, and if he feels undermined by the players, that's when he has to draw the line and have the same. The thing is, you have to have the same sort of standards, because it's really difficult, manager. Because if you do something wrong, they will start whining at you. It's pointing fingers at you. So you always have to be seen as strong and be consistent and treat everyone consistently.
Do you think Fergie was consistent?
No, he wasn't. But he had a different style. Just what I'm saying. He had a different style of dealing with things. Do you understand? Like the Eric Cantona Kung Fu kick. We know the story.
Exactly.
Like the change room, that sort of thing. Or Lee Sharp and Giggs going out on partying, and the way he dealt with that. Or the story about Dwight York and Teddy Sheringham, I think, went golf on a Wednesday after training when they had a game on Saturday, and he came in the next day, said, "Oh, did you go to? Were you at the golf course?" And Teddy said, "Yeah," and he said, "Right, I'm finding you." And he said it to York as well, and York looked around for Teddy, and Teddy said, "Yes," and he fined him as well. But it was a way. Do you understand? It's instead of just calling it out. We didn't hear about this until years later. They're telling the story, but it's a different style of management. And he's got.
It's treating them as individuals, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was more thinking. That I think Ten Hag was a wanker over the whole board. He didn't bend to anybody, whereas Ancelotti, Ferguson,
exactly,
the better managers, they tap into what makes a player click, and kind of maybe. I mean, with Eric and the Kung Fu kick situation, was obvious that Fergie wasn't good. The way the story comes out, it was, but it maybe not that exaggerated. But you have to understand what gets in the play. Some players might want a arm around the shoulder.
Yeah.
One player might want to kick up the arse or need to kick up the arse. Some players might just want to be left alone, to process their own thoughts. But
that's what he said about Rooney. I think said that he used to get the hair dry all the time, but it was actually instructions for Ronaldo, because Fergie couldn't speak to Ronaldo like that. And I'm much more a fan of managing that. Because we've got a question from Patrick here. Are you in favour of Amorim being heavy-handed? I'm not at all. I don't like it.
Do you think he's been heavy-handed by half time?
Worst team in Manchester United's history is fairly heavy-handed to me.
But they are. But you said,
Yeah.
what the fuck? If
Element of me.
I don't understand, right? We want our managers to tell the truth, and when they tell the truth, everybody's vexed. The
I don't
team
want
is
them to tell
fucking
the
shit.
truth.
Yeah.
I don't want them to tell the truth.
So you want
But
them to lie? You want
Yeah.
them to lie like Ollie did?
Yes,
And like Ten Hag
Ragnick,
did.
and well, Ragnick didn't lie, but yeah, I want them to lie, because the reason I don't like it is, this is speculation, but I reckon I'm right, is that he would have told them that in the dressing room. He broke a television, he'd been shouting and things like that, and then he went and said it to the whole world, and he allowed them to get greenlit. And in my opinion, I haven't been a manager, right? I don't understand what it's like to manage. I've just been a player. But in my opinion, the players are more important than the manager, because like the manager should come in and set teams up and offer a platform to the players to perform. They're easier to replace, and their job is dependent on the
So
players.
let the players do what they want then. The same thing.
No,
it's the other manager sacked.
No, that's that's an unfair reading of what I just told you. Is that but what that means is you've got to get players in that are good. Like everyone wants to get rid of players like Bruno and Delo and stuff like that. I wouldn't get rid of them, because I think that they're good professionals and that they're good for the squad. They've got the right attitude, like all the good stuff. But when you get a manager that comes in and makes it like about himself, that should be to protect his players, the way Fergie used to do, or the way
And
that
Jose.
Pep does, and Jose, because it's taking the criticism off them and things. And I think that if you come out and you tell the truth about how rubbish people were and things, you lose the respect and the trust in the players. But as I say, I haven't been a manager, but you two have, so you tell me.
I think. Do you remember that film 8 Mile with
Eminem?
Yeah, Eminem. So in the rap battle, he told his opponent, who's Captain America, actually, Falcon, he told him that all the stuff that he was going to say. So you're going to call me trash. You're going to call me living in a trailer park and all this kind of thing. And then gave him the mic, and the guy had nothing to say. So I think by saying something like that, this is the worst squad to the journalists that we might not have ever had. That the journalists would be like, where do we go from here? You've given us, you said what we want to say, what we're gearing you up to say by probing you to say something like that. And you've actually said, I've got a statement to make. This is the worst Man United squad ever. There's your headline, and leave me alone. You know, you can't come for me. I think it's
All
a bit
right,
of I think it's a new modern, it's a different approach we haven't really seen before. You might not agree with it. Maybe you're old-fashioned in this sense, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay to do that because, as Mr. B said, it's the truth, and it's like
when
Fergie went to lost at Southampton and changed
grey
shirts
shirts.
half time with the grey shirts. He actually said that. Now, I mean, is that taking the heat for himself, or is that making some stupid excuse? Because that's laughable till this day. Do you understand what I'm saying? When his team couldn't perform correctly on that day, they got whooped. You know. So I think as a manager, you have to think about these things.
What if a player did it, Yabba?
Sorry.
What if a player did it?
Well, a player did it like Ronaldo. Ronaldo did it with Piers Morgan.
No. What if a player came out? What if a player came out and said, "What do you expect? We have the worst manager in Manchester United's history."
Then that would be very disrespectful.
How is that different to disrespecting the players?
It's not
what the manager
has said. He's saying this is the worst squad.
He's saying the worst squad. Exactly. It's an overall.
Right, this is the worst training staff in Manchester United's history.
All right, now you're changing goalposts. What you said originally was about the manager. You say that's the worst manager ever. What he said was it's the worst team that we've had based on performances in Premiership history for Man United, which is a fact. We've never been this bad in Premier League history since 1992. We haven't had it this bad. So he just pointed out a fact. And however, journalists are a bit stuck with that. They don't know what to say. All right, what can they do with that? So a player doing that, like what Ronaldo did on Piers Morgan in front of everyone from millions and billions watching that and calling out Ten Hag and really disrespecting him, that's out of order. There's a huge difference between what Amorim said and what Ronaldo actually did to Ten Hag to undermine him, which is really, I mean, we've never seen anything of that, like of that sort of likes from someone so huge as well to come out like that. That showed Ronaldo's true character. And it was out of order what he did there. And I think no one after that wanted to touch him with a barge pole, because who wants to deal with someone with that sort of ego?
Well, I mean, it is Cristiano Ronaldo at the end of the day, and he is a legend that belongs to football. But the point I'm making is not comparing what Ronaldo said and what Amorim said.
You just said what?
No, I said, what if a player had done it and you took that to be Ronaldo? What I meant is that
I gave an example of what a player did when he called out the manager. You said, what if a player called out the manager?
It wasn't a current player.
Who wasn't?
Ronaldo. He'd left the club at that point.
Oh, had he left when he was at Piers Morgan? Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is in the like when he gave the press conference and he said that this is the worst squad in Manchester United's history, etc. We probably forget a bit of the context and the extra sentences that were around that, because that's the line that sticks. Yeah. But if a player had come out and done an interview and said basically something to the same effect, that this is the worst trainer or whatever in history, we would go absolutely crazy about it. It would be unacceptable.
Do you recall why Roy Keane left the club?
Because he dissed Darren Fletcher on Middlesbrough away MUTV.
Yeah. So Fergie didn't like that, did he? Because it didn't come out in release. It wasn't released in the end. But was that? I thought he dissed a few more players, or dissed.
Yeah, he dissed loads of them, but it was never put out. But I believe that it was actually like a pretext to getting rid of Keane, because Keane has spoken at great length about how things were going on in Portuguese training camps. It was the peak of an iceberg.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit. There's a little bit more of it, but I mean,
It's true. Yes, so Roy Keane with the whole Ireland World Cup affair, that undermined Mick McCarthy, didn't it? Really, maybe that was out of order. Maybe
I think so. Yeah,
I think when you get to that sort of status, so you've seen Ronaldo do that because he felt, I've been there, done that. I can, thing. And Roy Keane probably felt the same things. Ronaldo turned up at United, said training facilities are bad, same as 10 years ago, or whatever. Roy Keane's gone away and felt that the Irish FA or whatever hadn't supplied them with the right standards to go and do something in this World Cup, and he called it out. So it's a similar thing. When you get to that status as a player, you could feel you could say these things. And you could.
I just don't want any of them to do it, because we should be a family, but behind like closed doors and stuff like that. And it's like, for example, we'll all call each other idiots here and things, but if someone in the comments or someone from outside calls us an idiot, then we're all going to go to war for each other because we're a team, and that is how I think that like. I think that that's the sort of united front that we need to present. And that's what Fergie is doing by saying, do you know whose fault this was? It was Adidas. They've made crap shirts. And that is why we've lost. And that sort of mentality I want back. So when, like, I get it, right? People watch the players on the pitch, and the players are the people that can change the results around and all that kind of stuff. All right, Andrew. Let me know how long your timeout is for, please. I understand it's a joke, but I just want to know how long the timeout is. No, it's all right. Like Steph, if you're here, unban him, and you can tell us how long it is. But you're not allowed to call me an idiot. But the thing is, right, is that.
Disciplinarian.
Well, it's like, look, the chat themselves are not going to be like regulating themselves, so we have to be disciplinary. The culture's gone, Yabba. The culture's gone from the chat. But
bath hog.
Yeah.
But do you think right? Because I also think this. I think that like Tyrone's brought up Jim Ratcliffe here. I also think that Jim Ratcliffe should never have said what he said about Casemiro. I thought that was appalling, to name someone as the worst ever, or as an example of a terrible transfer.
Is this why he was taken over? Is this why he was taking over the club?
Yeah, that was during the bidding process, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just another thing, I don't know if you guys heard the comment on Lookman. They went out of the Champions League yesterday at Atlanta, and Lookman took a penalty. He's got a record of 4-4, I think, at the moment, and he missed it. And then the manager said afterwards he's the worst penalty taker in the squad, maybe, or the worst penalty taker.
Ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of statement there is, I don't know. Maybe it's in Italy. It's a different culture over there, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's been
appalling.
We all agree then that's out of order.
I think right, hang on. Like Steph, unban Andrew. I just want to see how long he was timed out for. There was a player who lived in a caravan, I think, West Ham. Was it called Paolo Futre or something like that?
Oh no,
it wasn't Paolo Futre, but I do remember there was somebody who lived in a caravan. It wasn't Paolo Futre though.
Like, and Harry Redknapp said on Match of the Day that his gran would have scored that chance or something, and that player came out and spoke.
That was Darren Bent.
Was it Darren Bent?
He said that when he was at Tottenham, he said he missed like an open goal in it, and yeah, he said his gran's gonna. It was Darren Bent that he was talking about when he was at Spurs.
Right. Okay.
Right. Well, stuff like that, even though it's said in jest and things, I also think is completely unacceptable because, like, managers have kind of got to have standards as well. And so when you say stuff like that, you make it easy to kind of go and take the piss out of players and things. And so this is why I think that, like, he should have lied. Like, Amrin should have said, like, I've got an incredibly talented group of players. We're struggling at the moment. You can see the effort they're putting in on the pitch. Results will turn around, but we really need our fans with us at the moment.
Should have boosted their egos. Should have boosted their egos, and then he would have said all of that, and he would have still been in the same position.
But are we, as journalists, which we are, I suppose,
we're not.
Not journalists. What would we call
We're film writers.
We're Scientologists.
Yeah, all right. Scientologists. I'm talking about Man United. Aren't we supposed to sort of so I've heard Mr. B and Solo before say Ollie's a liar. They're dismayed by some of the comments coming out where they do sort of support the players. I like Glenn Hoddle, for example. He was a bit too honest. He said Andy Cole scores one chance in 7.
Yeah.
And that could have destroyed. Cole didn't like that. It could have destroyed his confidence. He also said before the World Cup in '98 that Beckham's got a temperament issue or something like that. And it turned out to be true, if you remember rightly. So do you think, and he was blasted for sort of saying that at the time as well. So I do think managers need to have a good balance. And that's why I'm quite okay with Amarim, what he said about the squad. I think you have a good balance of that. And if you're a bit more refreshing, you know where you stand. You know when he's saying something, it's a lot clearer than sort of you think, oh, he's just covering up, or we used to get annoyed because some people wouldn't say anything at all. You get so media trained and so determined not to reveal anything.
He should have put himself in it, though.
Won't say anything at all.
Do you not think that he should have, like, that Amarin, like, I bet you he would take those comments back in a heartbeat. Like,
of course he would. 100%. 100%.
But I also think that he would like to add himself into those, like, those comments as well. Because, like, this is the worst Manchester United squad in history. He should have said, I'm the manager. Or, like, it's on me as well. And I think back to, like, that Xerxes substitution against Newcastle where he didn't. The easy, just a sensible thing to say is, I got it wrong. Nothing on Xerxes. But he, Xerxes came off to loads of boos and things like that. And that won't have gone unnoticed from the players that he didn't, like, then go and say, like, look, I'm very happy with Joshua Xerxes as a player and as character. He's fantastic. I made a mistake, and unfortunately, it was Josh that had to come off. No problems with us, and you're definitely going to be seeing a lot more of him, and he's going to be showing what a great player he is to all of you, because you lot know fuck all about football, or whatever Fergie said about, was it Veron he shouted at everyone about?
5 minutes to timeout is. Right,
thank you for that, Andrew. I did ask Steph to unban you. But 5 minutes seems a bit too much. I was hoping it was 1 minute, to be honest.
Like a sin bin, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, like I mean, have I like I understand quite a lot of your points, Yabba, but we always have this fundamental disagreement where I think discipline should come from the dressing room and it should kind of be agreed upon with the players and stuff like that. And you think it's something that needs to be like almost taught to them.
Well, I think one of the greatest managers great English managers there's ever been was Brian Clough. And if you look at the way he used to go about his business before he became a raging alcoholic, because he did have a drink issue, but he used to just bully, undermine players and get the best out of them, and that discipline he relied on that to get results because the players. If you speak,
was he nice to any of them though?
He in a way, yeah. So if he was a little bit nice to you, then you think, "Oh, I've done well here."
Oh, like yeah, okay.
It's sort of like in jest. He'd say a lot of stuff in jest, and you'd get the best. I mean, to win 2 European Cups in a row, come up from the Championship or the second division and win the league, in '77. It's just amazing what he did with Derby as well. So his management style was brilliant, but it's just the FA.
Was he a double act, Yabba?
Yeah, with Peter
Taylor,
sorry. Yeah, they worked.
Was one the mum and one was the dad?
Good cop, bad cop kind of thing. But Peter Taylor had a knack of sort of scouting players. He could pick a player out and bring them into the club. He really knew how to sort of bring players in. So they've kind of felt lost without each other in a way. But the success didn't happen when Peter Taylor wasn't there. But yeah, it just goes to show he's regarded as one of the best managers because he was outspoken. He would do what he needed to do to get the results. And it's different culture in the 70s, whatever. But he won. And the FA didn't want to touch him in Bargebowl because they want someone who's going to be media trained and not, full. Sorry, Mr. Beard, couldn't hear you.
Stir the pot. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Thanks. Yeah.
Not that's Southgate, isn't it, to a T?
Yeah.
Like Jose would be wonderful to have as like the England manager and probably should have been, but Southgate is the kind of guy you get who's going to be all hugs and things like that and bring them up and like the research suggests that is the best way of like handling things, but I would love to beat these players up, to be honest. Like I think I'd love to get them in front of the Old Trafford crowd and whip them, basically, because they've been they've just been awful. Like a disgrace, like that Palace game, disgrace. But the thing is that that's not how we get back. And I think we've got to rip the squad up again. And I kind of put the blame on recruitment more now than anything else. I hope Amrin works out, because the other thing that I'm not happy with a lot of Amrin's comments, a lot of things he's done, but in the same way that you forgive Garnacho and Kobe because they're so young, like Amrin he's only just 40 years old. And when you sign someone or you appoint someone who's that age, you have to like accept they're going to make mistakes, like they're going to run their mouth and things like that. And I think we have to kind of accept that Amrin is going to do and say very stupid things at times because he doesn't have the experience to fall back on.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Maybe there was a few comments there talking about things, but yeah, I think it's a good balance. I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong, just a conversation. I just think it's a good balance that you got to have. And it shows, again, it's not just about managing the team. You got to manage the club. You got to manage the journalists. You got to manage all these things. And be careful what you say. Be really mindful what you say. And Kevin Keegan was quite vulnerable, wasn't he? This is the guy who walked out of Newcastle, walked out of England, remember? Because he was just too emotional, too honest. And it wasn't in this media sort of savvy world, he couldn't cope with all that kind of thing. Kenny Dalglish is another one who quit. Rightly so. I mean, he struggled second time around, but after the Hillsborough thing, he really struggled with that, the pressure, and then he walked out of Blackburn, left Blackburn as well after they won the title. it's difficult for these guys, and the culture's changed from what it was. Brian Clough today probably wouldn't work with the players that we have today, because if you hear some of the stories that he put players through, and some of the antics he used to have, but it's you got to find today what would be the best. What's the most successful manager today, and what is they doing well? I think Pep is quite disciplined, and some players that don't get on with him leave the club no matter how good they are. Do you know what I'm saying? Yaya Toure, Etu. There's been a few players that Zlatan as well. Yeah, like you said, who haven't got on with him, and Pep's like, no, it's my way. I'm going to revert back to type. And
do you remember he shouted? Do you remember he called out his own fans the year they won the treble? It was incredible that he did that. He called out the players and the fans, and then they went on and won the treble. But you've also got, on the flip side, like Pep and Ancelotti have been the two big ones, haven't they? And they're sort of yin and yang to me.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, we'll finish with this. Paulo Futre is a good Maradona-esque. Sounds a bit.
Yeah, it
sounds a little bit over the top to me.
Do you know why he left West Ham? Do you know the story behind that? Mr. B, you were going to tell the story, weren't you?
No, I don't know.
Right, so he got signed for West Ham under Harry Redknapp. I think he wanted to wear the number 9. So they're in the change room ready to go out, and the number 9 was already given to another player. And because they refused him to wear the number 9, he actually said, I'm going to leave. So he actually left and got on a plane and then left that day.
Are you serious?
Yeah, something along them lines. Where he said, I'm not having this, and just left the club. But what a player, yeah. I don't think people know how good he was. He was a brilliant, skillful, long-haired, just an icon in Portugal in the 80s. Really class player.
All right. Mr. B, have you got anything for us?
Nope.
Wicked. Well, thank you all for watching. We'll be back at probably 8:30 tomorrow. I believe that Dora is coming on. We could do some film reviews, some games. Like,
she'd be in a bad mood, is she?
Dora is so angry at the moment. Like, she's proper mad with the team. Like, but we'll see how that goes. And you'll know our email address if you want to email and come on or whatever. But...
I'm not going to type it in capital letters, get stuff.
But thank you all for watching. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow. And is it this one?
Yeah, review Captain America. I've watched it, Tyrone.
He gave 7.5.
He gave it 8 out of 10.
Yes, yeah. Tyrone.
I watched it again today. Here, I was watching it earlier again. Yeah, we could do that. And also, backstage, bath time, I want to talk to you about.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Scripts, all right.
No worries. Like, look. Okay, give me a shout tomorrow, Keith Hackett. Keith Hackett is the ex-head of the Referee Association. Yeah. So if you want to talk about refs, go and see Jarvis at 9. He is not a Scientologist, unfortunately. Or at least I don't think so. Like, neither are we, by the way. That is a joke. We're not Scientologists. But yeah, if you want to go and talk to a ref, go and check out what Jarvis is doing. What would you ask the head of the refs, Yabba?
Just ask them about the rule changes and how they feel. Has it changed the game? Because if you look at the rule changes since 1985 to now, there's been a lot of changes in the offside, the pass back rule. So many things have changed in the game, and it's changing all the time. Every season, you have to ask the referee, what's new, ref? What do we need?
We used to go to. We were sent. I had to go and see them at university to find out what they were going to be cracking down on. It was the worst day of the year. Like, honestly, it's like going and doing your taxes, but the football version. Talking to refs, man. Rather you than me. Mr. B, if you could ask a ref anything, what would you ask?
I don't know. My younger brother's a ref. I have no idea. I don't know. I've never thought about that question, bath time.
Another thing, what really annoys me is why they did it today in the Champions League. They did it for my Sunday team on the other day. When a team's winning convincingly, Why do you give blighs to the losing team?
Yeah, that's a good
I
question.
hate
'Cause I know
that.
we were winning
I
a game 6-1,
yeah.
and the ref didn't give us 3 penalties because we were winning.
Yeah,
Fuck. Give us the penalties, man. That's the whole
exactly.
point. Yeah, make it. Yeah, I
That's
get
what
it.
I would ask as well. I hate that about refs. They always do that. There's no sentiment in football.
Well, I suppose that they've got to like manage the game, haven't they? Like,
There's too much power. You can't manage a game by not following the rules. If it means someone getting a 12-0 whooping, you know, that's just how it is.
Yeah,
you know?
this is a man's game. This isn't,
Yeah.
this isn't woke football.
woke football. When
Yeah.
you're talking about woke football,
Well, the referee's trying to save
what's
someone
woke
for their
football?
feelings.
These ones where they don't have no scores. It's the kids that want Gen Z or the baby kids, no scores, so they don't know how to lose, turning into a bunch of softies. You need to learn how to lose, man. So when you win, you can be a shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe. I think the only thing that I would like ask a ref, I think, is that like I'm very supportive of referees like on this channel and so on, because like in the leagues that we play in and stuff, you'll sometimes have a ref like who brings his mate to the game with him. You see what goes on, like even like under eights football and stuff. I absolutely hate the way it's acceptable to go and like physically abuse and verbally abuse refs, because we might not like them. They are boring and they're annoying, but they're a crucial part of grassroots football.
Yeah. No ref, no game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, but you know, social media, let's just pile on the PGMOL and say that we need to get better refs in, as if they know anything about it. But anyway, enough of that. Lack a notch.
Like a notch.
Like a notch.